Well, good morning. Today, I'm going to talk about one of my favorite subjects, one that seems to come up almost every day of my life lately. It's one that I've mentioned before. Impossible not to have mentioned it because it's important to me. The title that I've given is Foundational Knowledge: Unity, Duality, Dualism. My little blurb. Spiritual awakening involves knowing the truth about reality. People that have gone far enough down the rabbit hole realize how words have been distorted in human culture. There are many examples, especially in law. Legal and lawful is one example. However, the biggest distortion of all revolves around ideas of good and evil, unity, and duality. These are based on the delusion caused by a lie. That lie is dualism, which denotes co-eternal binary opposition. That is properly called polarization, or where opposites are falsely perceived to duel rather than dance together. Duality is the natural dance of opposites in unity. Dualism is the unnatural duel or war of complementary pairs of opposites. I'll start with where I'm not going to spend most of my time, and that is I did make a reference to legal and lawful. Lawful is that which is granted by nature. It is the natural order of things. Legal is a system that makes lawful things unacceptable. It puts rules on that which is by nature natural to do or to experience. It limits freedom, in other words. Legal is the system that we live under in the world. It's the commercial code. It's money. It's government. It's corporations. It's everything built on the lie. Lawful refers to nature. And I point that out because the difference between our culture and natural law is extremely important in the discussion. However, that's not where I'm going to be spending most of my time in chatting with you this morning. There are natural pairs of opposites, light and dark being perhaps one of the more obvious ones. Every night we see dark. Every day we see light. They're not in opposition to each other. They take turns. They dance together, the dance of light and dark, which creates shadows. Okay? Another natural, obvious pair of opposites is masculine and feminine. These energetic principles of projective and receptive energies, one projecting or penetrating, the other receiving, are observable throughout nature. Beyond humanity, beyond our nature, we can perceive it in nature that there are masculine and feminine energies, and we know from scientific study and investigation, the merging of opposites produces life as we know it, or generates creation itself. There are spiritual and physical, or visible and invisible aspects. We know that. We know from using microscopes that there are many things that we can see with a microscope or a telescope that we can't see with our eyes. So what we can't see with our eyes is called invisible. They are not at war with each other. The visible and the invisible are not at war. They just simply are. Masculine and feminine just simply are. Hot and cold just simply are. In and out just simply are. Positive and negative, as in magnetic and electrical charges, just simply are. They're pairs of opposites that complement each other. They're complementary. They are made to be together. They are two sides of one coin, and you can't eliminate either of or the other one. They are natural pairs of opposites. In the beginning, I contend, this is the way everything was created to be. Ultimately, it was created to be that way. It was unity. Everything was in harmony with everything else. Something was introduced into the mix, and it was the lie. It was the lie that evil is even possible. What is evil? It's live backwards. That's all it is. It means getting it wrong. It means believing something that isn't true. What is true? True is unity. That's true. Now, religion was born with the tree of the knowledge of good and evil and the idea of Satan or a devil whispering in your ear, no, if you eat of that, you're going to be just like God. Was that a lie? It was not the God that the prime creator, because the prime creator, they were already one and part of that creation. They already had fellowship with that part, that spiritual aspect of themselves, as depicted in the myth of the Garden of Eden. It's right there. They walked with God. And then when they introduced the concept of evil, the lie, the first thing they did is they called that which is natural bad. Very first thing. They hid themselves from God and covered themselves because they knew that they were naked. They never were ashamed of being naked before that. It was a perfectly natural thing. They had bodies. The bodies were beautiful, male and female, masculine and feminine. They were beautiful. There was nothing wrong with them, nothing evil, nothing dirty. But all of a sudden, they introduced religion into the mix. They introduced dualism. Dualism, as I said, denotes co-eternal binary opposition. Or from the Catholic Encyclopedia, it denotes the religious or theological system which would explain the universe as the outcome of two eternally opposed and coexisting principles. I'm telling you, that's a lie. That's something that the human race in our conscious awakening has to go beyond. As long as we maintain that lie, we will keep creating war wherever we go. Wherever we go, there we are. And if that's going to be our viewpoint, if that's how we're going to view it, that there are two eternally opposed coexisting principles, there are not. That is a temporal thing, not an eternal thing. The eternal thing is unity. The eternal thing is love. The eternal thing is not separation. That's a temporal thing for a purpose. As we said yesterday, the Illuminati are here to help us awaken to truth. And what is truth? What is truth? I contend that truth is unity. Truth is love. Truth is light, and complementary pairs of opposites. Truth is the dance between the positive and negative forces, which are neither good nor bad. They are actually good. And all that God created, he looked at it and saw it was very good. Very good. So the beginning of creation is good. And that's also the end of creation, because it's the Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end. They come back to meet. They go full circle, if you will, or more precisely in evolutionary terms, they spiral ever upward back to the origin of love and of unity. That's the true nature of reality. But it's not the observable nature once a lie has been introduced. And the lie that's introduced is that we could be separate from God. God allowed Adam and Eve to be driven from the garden, okay, by an angelic presence. They were driven from the garden and perceived separation. But God was everywhere. Still is, always has been, can never be anything else but omnipresent, omniscient, and omnipotent. Cannot be anything else. Those are accurate, from my perspective, theological observations. But that's not what appears. What appears is the illusion. What appears is the lie. What appears is dualism. We are moving, if those of us that choose, are moving beyond dualism. We are moving beyond the lie to the truth that sets us free. The truth that allows us to love from our hearts. And the heart is the integrating point between the lower energies or the physical energies and the higher spiritual energies that are not warring with each other. That war between the flesh and the spirit that the Bible talks about is a lie. Is a lie. It's an unnatural product of believing the lie that we could be separate. That was the lie. Because we can't. Though I make my bed in hell, there you are, God. No matter what I do, I cannot be separated from you, God. Or whatever words you want to use. Because we swim and we live and we move and we have our being in creation. It is life itself. It is alive. It is vibrant. Some of it we can see. Much of it we cannot see. Much of it is limited to us in our perception. But our perception is opening up in this new age of awakening. We are recognizing that we are interconnected one with another. And we are recognizing that our soul is eternal, that death is an illusion. It's not real. Life and death are not complementary pairs of opposites in a sense. In a sense they are, but in another sense they're not, because death doesn't really even exist, because all that exists is energy or spirit. It's the animating force, if you will, of all creation. It exists and has an existence in and of itself, and it is an eternal existence. There is always energy. It cannot be created or destroyed. It just simply is what it is. It is energy. It is spirit. It is God. It is divine. But we, in order to know ourselves, created something with the permission of God. We created the Illuminati, or the Luciferian rebellion, which is a game. It's a drama that's created in our history to allow us to develop wisdom that could not be developed any other way. But it is based on a lie. Now we have the opportunity, if we choose it, to come home from the lie, to come home to the truth, to come home from the wars and the duels and the conflict and the opposition falsely created in a dualism that is twisted. And we keep hearing spiritual people say we're moving out of duality. Hell no, we're not moving out of duality. If we're moving out of duality, creation ceases to exist in a physical sense. It cannot exist without the dance of opposites, without these mutually attractive pairs of opposites. Now, I know the spiritual thing is like attracts like, but in the natural world, it's not completely that way. That's maybe true in the spiritual world, but in the natural world, it's not true. Opposites attract and dance with each other. Those energies coexist for each other's benefit. And the benefit is the ongoing experience of living, of life itself. It is life itself. That is the truth. The universe is predisposed to life. It's predisposed to good. But we have been able, through the interjection of this need to know ourselves by what we are not, by creating what we are not, we have experienced dualism, polarization, war, conflict. It's within us and it expresses outside of us. If we're going to heal, which means to become whole again, we're going to have to see from a totally different philosophical viewpoint. It's not New Age stuff. It's getting back to the beginning, to the original unity of all things, the all in all. That's when the kingdom of heaven manifests. When Christ is all and in all, the kingdom of heaven is then, now, wherever it is. Because Christ, or the divine principle, is all in all. It's everything. There's nothing outside of it. There's nothing outside of it. Yet there's so many people still stuck in the old paradigm thought. They can't get out of it because that's all they can see is the conflict, the conflict. There must be a powerful evil just as there is a weak God. And that's the foundational reality of this stupid religion that's been shoved down our throat. That's our enemy. It's not our friend. The Bible contains a lot of truth, but it's our enemy, not our friend. Religion is our enemy, not our friend. It contains truth, but it lies to us because it teaches separation. Separation is an eternal impossibility. Forever, it cannot be possible, except when you believe a lie. And then you can experience what it's like to live in the lie. That's been the human experience. That's been the human culture. That's our history. Do we want to continue or do we want to move on? I want to move on. I want to get beyond the polarity between, or the polarization between the either or mentality and get to the both and mentality. They both have a right to exist and we can choose a new way of seeing, the way that allows the complementary pairs of opposites to dance with each other. And that eliminates our experience of evil. That eliminates dualism, not duality. Duality will still exist. There will still be light and dark, positive and negative, masculine and feminine. There will still be these wonderful pairs of opposites that provide us with natural contrast so that we can see and we can stop thinking the lie and start feeling the love. That's where I'm going, and that's where I believe the world is headed. That's the opportunity that we each have before us to choose anew how we are going to perceive the world and ourselves in it. I leave you with these thoughts that are very important to me, because if we don't get beyond this, if we don't come to an understanding of this, we're doomed. But I don't believe we're doomed because we are coming to an understanding of these basic fundamental truths, this foundational knowledge of understanding unity, duality, and dualism, which is artificial and faults. Namaste. Thank you for listening.